My dear students of class 10A and 10B, today here is your chapter 9, Independence and Partition of India. Independence and Partition of India. Under this, under the following points, I am going to teach you some points. Point number 1, Clement Attlee, the new British Prime Minister, declared in the House of Commons that one mission named Cabinet Mission would be sent to India to talk to Indian Congress leaders regarding the process of shifting of power to the Indians. And ultimately, in the year 1946, a mission came to India. That mission is known as Cabinet Mission. Now, the Cabinet Mission arrived in India in the year 1946, consisting of, this mission consisted of three members, three cabinet members. Number 1, A.V. Alexander. Number 2, Patrick Lawrence. And number 3, Sir Stafford Cripps. They all were the distinguished members, cabinet members. They came to India to discuss the process of shifting of power to the Indian leaders. But the cabinet mission proposed that there should be a two-tier federal plan. There should be a two-tier federal plan, and which also fulfill the need and expectation of the Congress leaders, and according to which there are certain points they framed. And number 1, federal union. The certain points they found out. Number 1 point, federal union. What is federal union? The federal union. What is federal union? There was to be a federal union of the British provinces, and there should be some British officials who talk to Indian leaders regarding their process, and there should be one union government which would deal with the foreign affairs, defense, and communications. In order to raise finances, they would talk to the others regarding the process of sanctioning money for the following departments, like finance, like communication, like defense, and like foreign affairs. In order to spend money for the following departments, they would raise the finances required for the above mentioned departments, like for foreign affairs, defense, and communication. The next one, powers of the union. Second one, powers of the union. That is also very important part of this point. The union would have its own executive and legislature composed of all the members elected from all the provinces. And third one, provincial autonomy. The provinces would enjoy full autonomy for all subjects other than the union subjects. Then there should be a union government. That's why, except the union subjects, the provinces would enjoy all the subjects. And next one, grouping of provinces. It is not mentioned here. Provincial autonomy. The provincial autonomy, what is it? The provinces would enjoy full autonomy for all subjects and other, except the other than the union subjects. And next one, grouping of provinces. The British provinces would be divided into groups. Like Group A, Group B, Group C. They categorized 3 groups: Group A, Group B, and Group C. And they decided to include 6 Hindu majority provinces, like Bombay, Madras, and central provinces, United Provinces, Bihar, and Orissa. These were the Hindu majority provinces they decided to include in Group A. And in Group B, only the Muslim provinces they decided to include in Group B. They decided to include only the Muslim provinces in Group B. They categorized 3 groups: Group A, Group B, and Group C. In Group B, they decided to include only the Muslim provinces. And in Group C, this would be included for Bengal and Assam, and the chief commissioners of provinces like Delhi, Ajmer, Marwar, Coot, and they should be given an option whether they would join Group A or Group B. That means whether they would decide to join Group A, that means Coot, Ajmer, Delhi would join the Group A, and Group B would be and Group B would be for only Balochistan. Balochistan would join in Group B. And next one, formation of Constituent Assembly. Formation of Constituent Assembly. Formation of Constituent Assembly. It was due to the reason there should be, 389 members are there in the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly would be set up to frame the new Constitution of India, of the Indian Union, and the composition of 389 members of the Constituent Assembly. Out of 389 members of the Constituent Assembly, there should be 296 members elected from the British provinces, and next 293 members would be from the princely states. It was decided that out of 380 members of the Constituent Assembly, 296 members would be elected from the British provinces, and 93 members would be elected from the princely states, and the members of the Constituent Assembly would be elected by the provincial legislative assembly and adult suffrage. And they also would point out some necessary suggestions in order to avoid delay in the making of the constitution. And then representation of minorities. Representation of the minorities. Representation of the minorities. What is about it? Separate representation was to be given to the minorities or Muslims and Sikhs. Separate representation should be given to the minorities, means to the Muslims and the Sikhs. And next one, formation of the interim government. Formation of the interim government. An interim government would be formed at the center with 14 members. From the time being, one viceroy would be there. That viceroy would reconstitute his executive council consisting of the representative of all communities. And here the Indian leaders objected because they did not want to allow any viceroy at the time of process of shifting power to the Indians. But according to the viceroy, according to the system, it was decided that viceroy would be there to reconstitute his executive council consisting of the representative of all communities. And next one, freedom to join the Commonwealth. It is not mentioned in my point, I am telling you. Freedom to join the Commonwealth. That means India would be free to remain with the British Commonwealth or to secede from it. It would be decided by the Indians whether they should be a part of British Commonwealth or secede from it. That should be an option for the Indian people, Indian Congress leaders. And next one, transfer of power. Last point, transfer of power. There would be necessary to work out a treaty between the Constituent Assembly and the United Kingdom for matters arising out of the transfer of power. It would be necessary to work out a treaty. That means the British decided to make one treaty in between the United Kingdom and the Constituent Assembly, so that they must find out one solution regarding the process of transfer of power, because they wanted to make the British viceroy understand that it was very important to them to transfer power at the British, under the Prime Ministership of Clement Attlee, decided to send one commission. The name of the commission, as I taught you earlier, the Cabinet Mission. That Cabinet Mission came to India in order to in order to facilitate the process of, the shifting of power, in order to facilitate the process of shifting of power for the Indians. And as a result of it, the three distinguished cabinet members, Patrick Lawrence and Sir Stafford Cripps and A.V. Alexander, they all decided to make one federal union. That federal union would be from the British provinces, and hence there should be one union government. That union government would deal with the main departments like foreign affairs, like defense, and another one communication. That's why, so that they must raise finances regarding the expenditure of the following departments. And powers of the union would have its own executive and a legislature composed of members selected from all provinces. And apart from this, grouping, categorization, and the British categorized the three groups: Group A, Group B, and Group C. What is this? The Indian Congress leaders, they objected it, but still they accepted it also. Why? Because some of the Congress leaders, they accepted the proposal of the British categorization, like Group A, Group B, and Group C. They, in order to avoid misunderstanding, since India was a country of different communities, different religious community concepts, different languages, different faith beliefs. That's why they categorize three groups: Group A, Group B, and Group C. And what is the importance of Group A? The importance of Group A is that all the major Hindu majority provinces would be included in Group A, like Bombay, Madras, Bihar, Orissa, and of course United Provinces, Central Provinces. These all would be included in Group A. And in Group B, only the Muslim provinces would be included in Group B. And Group C, Bengal and Assam would be included in Group C, and rest of them like Delhi, Coorg, and the other Marwar, Ajmer, that they will decide whether they should join in Group A or they would join in Group B. But later on, it was decided, and it was made mandatory that Delhi, Ajmer, Marwar, and Coorg would join in Group A, and Balochistan would join in Group B. And next one, the formation of the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly would be formed in order to form through an election. The 389 members of the Constituent Assembly. Out of 389 members, 396 members would be elected from the British provinces, and 93 members would be elected from the princely states. The Indian members, objected it because the British wanted to establish their influence, still influence on the eve of shifting of power to the Indians. That's why they objected it, because there were 296 members. How is it possible? 296 members would be elected from the British provinces, and 93 members would be elected from the princely states. But still, they had to accept it because they wanted to see the consequence of that system. The system, whatever was introduced by the cabinet mission under the proposal of Prime Minister Clement Attlee, they wanted to see how did the British shift? How were the British shifting power to the Indians? That's why they all remained silent. And ultimately, an interim government, according to their proposal, an interim government also would be formed at the center with 14 members. And Viceroy would, that act of, that was the most important part, the misunderstanding. The Indian people misunderstood the British, but the British was able to gain faith of the Indian people, since they introduced that system that Viceroy would reconstitute his executive council consisting of representatives of all communities. So ultimately, the British was able to gain the faith of the Indian people and ultimately freedom to join the Commonwealth. Another option also they found out, they gave for the Indian people, that India would be free to remain within the British Commonwealth or secede from it. That who would remain in the British Commonwealth and who would secede from it, that would be optional for the Indian people, Indian leaders. And ultimately transfer of power. It would be necessary to work out a treaty. There should be they decided to make one treaty between the between the United Kingdom and the Constituent Assembly regarding the process of shifting of power to the Indians. Earlier, there was a system introduced by the British that there should not be any treaty between the Constituent Assembly and the Union government. Constituent Assembly and the Constituent Assembly and the British and the United Kingdom or British government. But ultimately they came to a conclusion that there should be a treaty between the Constituent Assembly and the United Kingdom in the process of shifting of power, in the process of transfer of power. Ultimately, the Congress leaders accepted the proposal, and the process of shifting of power or transfer of power, they introduced, and they found out other options, so that the Indian people must have faith on the British, and the British would transfer power to the Indians. Up to this, my dear students. Thank you.